like Enoch and Elijah that aren't supposed to die. All right. Now, there is word that, Elijah will be coming back and so on and so forth. But Enoch isn't supposed to come back and die, not exalted, but luminous, moving in stillness, healing by light. The bride remembers who she is and rises robed in light, prepared to govern in love. So I hope that provides a deeper anchoring into the reality of what the kingdom age is and what it's going to what's unfolding before us here and now to bring this scripture to pass.
That's exciting.
I love it. Can you tell? I'm a little addicted to the subject matter. So
I can tell you're totally knowledgeable about what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, it's something in my heart because after all those, we'll call them 19 incursions, okay? Scroll 3, which is the book called No Weapon Formed. It describes about how many times I was met with close interactions with death that were suffered upon me. These weren't things that were happening to me naturally, let's say. And so after all those experiences and having been healed supernaturally, this is all documented by doctors, okay? It's all in that book, or scroll as we call them. No Weapon Formed. It's a deliverance testimony of my true, accurate, complete story, even told under oath, okay? I provide remedies also. I talk about, the different things that have happened in 2020 and people are suffering as a result of that. But I knew in 2013, even in 2011, but I had words to describe in 2013 what was going to happen to people in the year 2020. And I blew the whistle on that. So as a result of that, I put, by God's grace, I put together a book describing my experiences with scientific, lab results and you name it in there. All right. I'm talking Raman spectroscopy, FTIR, scans done by, we won't get into it here, but let's put it this way. It's very thoroughly put together. Okay, so moving on. So the problem with permission is, once again, many believers still wait for approval to obey God. We're going to pivot back to our topic at hand, which is ministries, kingdom projects, and moving forward in the kingdom age, expressing God's calling through your experience of your own profession, what's in your heart, what he's called you to do. And most people, when they think of the word, oh, I'm called to do a ministry, the first thing they think of is most people think, oh, I got to go up on a stage and preach the gospel. No, not in the kingdom age. In the kingdom age, you don't have to go become a clergy. You don't have to run and go through all this rigmarole into colleges and all that. Now, if you do it, that's one thing. Please do. Continue. That's a work of the Lord, and it's beautiful. But those of us who have been sidelined, so to speak, it's our time to emerge in the fullness of our callings in the kingdom age. And that's where you are right here, right now in the marketplace, okay? So it's not just up on a pulpit. It's right where you are. Everyone's needed where they are and recognized fully. So many believers still wait for approval to obey God. Obviously, those times are changing. We've been put into a position of learned helplessness here. It's crept into us through systems of fear. We don't need the IRS's permission. We don't need the 501c3 foundations or churches' statuses that are created by attorneys or sanctioned by the state. We're not involved in any of that. We're not asking for a state license to obey your calling. We respect the state. We appreciate the state. It has its own role to play. We're not anarchists or any of that. We're friends. We're diplomats, okay, ambassadors for Christ. But we're not mixing and muddying the waters between the jurisdictions. We're keeping them distinct and separate, operating within them when it's needed. So if you do need to open an S Corp or C Corp or do what you need to do, great, do it. But know what hat you're wearing when you're wearing it. So your right is already recognized for opening these special ministries. The American Constitution and First Amendment, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. The 508c1a ministries are mandatorily accepted So it's not something that you have to get approval for. It's something that is automatically accepted if done correctly. And that's what we've been doing, like I said, for over 20 years. Court case, for instance, Universal Life Church versus the United States in 1974. It talks about how the government cannot determine what constitutes a valid religion. So it's based upon deeply held religious beliefs. It's based upon spiritual beliefs and adherence to these practices. So, of course, we have constitutional law and American jurisprudence. The First Amendment of the United States of America's Constitution reads as follows: Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievance. Okay, so Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of a religion. All right, so there you have it. Those laws are wonderfully still here and enforceable and on the books. It's a beautiful thing. What is a 508c1a ministry? It's a non-reporting, non-filing, religiously protected trust. No IRS approval is needed. It's ideal for healing arts, education, worship, and humanitarian missions. We have a whole list of other wonderful professions that can be enveloped within this 508c1a structure. And there's a specific way to do that. And that's why when they work with us, we help you to take your mission statement and properly put it within the correct boundaries for the 508c1a ministry expression, not a commercial enterprise, of course. So where's the 508c1a in the law? We got this from the Cornell Law School, so you could see it. It's under exceptions, under 26 U.S. Code 508 Charlie 1 Apple, C1A. It's different from exemptions. It's different from the 501c3 model. Here it says the exceptions from filing. Okay, so that's mandatory exceptions. Paragraph 1 shall not apply to churches, their integrated auxiliaries, and conventions or associations of churches. So you don't have to file to petition to exist. You may do so within a special jurisdiction, which is ecclesiastical. Here, no filing requirement. 26 U.S. Code subsection 6033, returns by exempt organizations. Now the difference between exempt and accepted. Exempt is where you're petitioning or asking for permission to exist from the state, whereas exceptions is the state has zero. It has no jurisdiction to even contemplate your existence. Okay, totally separate, where you're not having to ask for permission. So a larger screen here, it's easier to see that one. So basically the exceptions from filing, mandatory exceptions, paragraph 1 shall not apply to churches, the integrated auxiliaries, and conventions or association of churches. Again, just as to reiterate that point. Therefore, even the code provides that churches and their auxiliaries, which means helpers, don't have to notify the secretary that they're applying for recognition of exempt status. That's with the IRS or with the state or any of those bodies of jurisdiction. We can see from the above under the no law concept of the first article that the church is exempt by right or accepted by right and does not have to petition any government agency for recognition of exempt, or in this case, accepted status. Why you don't need to go offshore? Because a lot of people will make the boo-boo and say, well, oh, I want to go offshore and do X, Y, and Z. And of course, there's different reasons to do that. But, you know, I maintain, you know, after the 20 years of doing this, and I've opened up, you know, offshore things too, and I know how that works, and I'm familiar with that process. But for me, in my mind, it's just redundant to do it that way, unless, of course, you know, there's other, you know, needs that you might have. But for the scope of the discussion we're having here today, most people would fit in the category of opening up their ministry or kingdom project using the 508c1a model. And it's not going to cost you $15,000 to $50,000 to do it. Okay, offshore trusts generally are within that vicinity. I've worked with attorneys, and they won't touch it unless you give them 30,000 up front. So, I'm not saying that those services are useless. There's specific needs for specific people, but most people would fit into the 508c1a model. And we do have programs and structures and so on and so forth that will be able to determine where you fit into what your needs are. Based upon your needs, we'll know, okay, you're going to need this, 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 and this, or just one entity, depending on what you're using it for. If you are going to open the 508 for the purposes of replacing other, let's say, models that's used for legacy or estate structures, we will do those things with you and for you. But we have to discuss your successor template. We have to go through those details with you. It's hard to tell unless we have a full-on discussion with you to go over your specific needs for that. Of course, Most High has already established our land of refuge. Arzareth in 2 Esdras 13 refers to a land that we understand is America. And yes, it's also the upper northern regions as well, but Arzareth in large part is referred to as America. So I tie this into the prophecies where the tribes are being reunited, and we're coming into the time where in this reuniting element with the tribes, that this is the preparation for the coming of Christ in the millennial reign. So the land that's known to be a refuge will be and is Arzareth, otherwise termed as America. So we also have America's Constitution uniquely defends our right to worship. Some people will say, well, I want you to create a 508 for me in another country. And I've done it, but I can't assure them that they're going to be able to protect that the way we'd be able to protect it in America, in the United States of America, or for America, because the jurisdiction is different and they treat religious expression differently in other countries. Also in Russia and other countries, I'm not picking on Russia, but I'm just saying as an example, other nations do have state-controlled churches. So if you don't fit within a certain parameter that's acceptable within those government structures, they deem the ministry as a threat, okay, to their state. So there's a real strong reason why I'm very strong about having us consider the 508 within the context of the republic, within the republic of the United States, of America, or for America, depending on jurisdictional elements that we discuss. And there's a difference, of course. Edenic restoration is the goal, in accord with, now I think you're going to appreciate Edenic restoration in light of Acts chapter 3, verses 18 through 21. That the restoration is the goal. We are not rebuilding Tartara. We are remembering Eden. Because why? As soon as we continue to bring and roll out more and more people as we're walking in that true you, as you were talking about earlier, this is the preparation that's happening to bring in the millennial reign. I'm not concerned about, the Antichrist this and the Antichrist that. It's a very big selling point. And I know, my dear friend Sherry Tenpenny, she uploaded, or someone must have uploaded a video on her behalf, and she's talking about the Antichrist, and she gets 900 and something thousand views on it. Well, that's great, but that's important to know that element, okay, but where's the other side? Where's the balance? What are the people of God doing, as far as this Edenic restoration, this restoration that's spoken of in Acts 3? How come there's not more discussion on that subject matter? It's always discussing Antichrist this and Antichrist that, and look at this and look at that. That's still important to have your finger on the pulse relating to that to some degree, but not to the exclusion of, okay, what are we doing as kingdom citizens to participate in Acts 3, 18 through 21 to restore the Edenic role that we're going to play. So we highlighted on this earlier, Mark, that the Psalmic architecture, the legacy missions, and resurrected living are our blueprint, and that, of course, these ministries are the tabernacles for the returning king. So, so that's where I really want to keep my focus, is cultivating this aspect, because the wheat does grow with the weed. And yes, as the systems of the world get nastier and more dangerous, there's going to be more paradisical elements that are becoming available to the people that are tapped in and tuned in and turned on to this kingdom age message. So we're not going to have to be dealing with the negative elements if we're focused in on what we can do to bring in this wonderful kingdom age truth into our own lives and the embassies of light that we carry. So what is Arzareth and how does it relate? According to 2 Esdras 13, Arzareth is the prophesied place of emergence and refuge for the lost tribes of Israel during the end times, a land another beyond the great waters. Many believe this refers to America, a place of spiritual inheritance and kingdom emergence in the latter days. Your ministry here becomes part of the fulfillment of ancient prophecy. This is what I maintain. This is my opinion. Okay. So as we're continuing to build up and get as many people on board to getting locked in and know what the heck one's calling is in light of this scripture in the kingdom age, we are literally participating in ancient prophecy. Okay. So the 12 tribes are awakening. Every tribe has a calling, a territory, a legacy blessing. So for instance, I looked it up on my own bloodline, which is, I went through it in the scroll of remembrance, that I'm part Sioux and Cherokee and Blackfoot Indian. And the Sioux tribe, you can trace that all the way back to the tribe of Gad, and they were warriors. We traced our Cherokee background into the tribe of Levi, which is the priestly background. Okay. So these, and we get into that, like, okay, let's trace your tribe. That's in the book called, or the scroll as we call it, the Psalm Codex. And in the back, there's prayers that go through how to invoke and bring forward and unlock those blessings that are locked up for you. You got to bring them forward. You got to activate those things. So in the book, the Psalm Codex, we get into that in the appendix. In the scroll called Christ the Cosmic King, we get into how do you identify with what tribe you're a part of. And I lightly touch on that too in the scroll of remembrance. So these are concepts that are truly very deep, profound, and so important to each one of us. Your ministry may help restore these forgotten tribes, even within your own bloodline. So why the church has faded. The church age has faded, all right? It's due to the government entanglement, and this is once again, it says in scripture, we've been admonished to come out of Babylon, lest you be partakers in the punishment that's coming down for the fourth beast, which is described in the book of Revelation and other places too. Some references are there too made. So here we are, we're trying to serve, the Lord, and we find out, wait a minute, these churches and these structures we've joined ourselves to, they've been subservient to the fourth beast and these other structures that Daniel talks about in the vision that the king had, that he interpreted. The silence in the face of evil. We've seen that over and over and over again. And again, not all churches are evil. That's not my point. We just have to highlight and bring this out so that we can cleanse from within to the best of our ability, or if we're called out to formulate our own embassies of light. In my case, I couldn't compromise from my position, so I had to form the embassies of light and assist others in the formation of theirs through, and with the diplomatic mission for the Cygnus and others. So compromise instead of covenant. We've seen that in the year 2020. Okay, we'll let you use our parking lot, but to provide certain services that were unfortunately, anyway, we already know what that's about. So bottom line, we're not here to compromise on Christ. We're here to preach his word in and out of season, regardless. And now the bride awakens to build without permission. What many do not realize is, okay, so yeah, so is that the 508c1A is not limited to traditional churches. And yet the beautiful part is, here's the good part, a lot of churches are calling me, even within Orthodoxy too. And they're like, hey, I want a 508. Can you help us? And I went right down to the bank and helped them open up their 508. So churches are waking up to this. And so for those ministers or pastors that realize that they've given up jurisdiction, by, engaging in a 501c3 where the Lord could give or the Lord could taketh away, meaning the Lord, meaning the power structure that's above them through which their jurisdiction was granted to them to have the 501c3. For those ministers who say, hey, no, or those clerics or those bishops, even the bishops that contacted me, hey, we want a 508. We don't want to be under that. Okay, great. Well, let's do it. Right? So I'll still work with you. I'm just talking about that for the most and the large part, I've seen a lot of compromise, even in the face of knowing truth relating to this. It is not reserved only for those with pulpits, as we discussed. It's not outdated or obsolete. Rather, it is a powerful tool to operate in full alignment with your calling without compromising spiritual integrity, personal privacy, or kingdom authority. So that's important. Common pitfalls is when people assume that, one would need a 501c3 to start a church. No, you don't have to do that. There's other options here. That some people would trust secular CPAs with sacred structure, involving the IRS or state unnecessarily. One person, a dear soul, contacted me. He was telling me he was helping people with special technology. And I said, what kind of entity do you have for that? He says, oh, it's a S Corp or something like that. I said, wait a minute. Could you tell me the reason why you're doing what you're doing? And he shared he lost a family member. And as a result, that caused him to dive deeply into the technology he's using to help others. I said, you have a ministry. I says, why don't we abandon one structure in favor of a ministry, and we water that structure and we nurture it and grow it, and put the other one, you can either dissolve the structure, or in the process of changing everything over within a year, you can shift everything from one to the other. So there are ways of doing that. We work with you personally. Everyone's got different needs here. So a lot of people just simply don't know that the 508 does exist, or if they do, they don't know how to engage properly with doing it in a manner where it's safe. Like I said, I've been doing this for well over 20 years, and we've not run into any issues because we are sticklers about handling everyone's case very carefully and directing each one to follow everything properly so they're not lost on direction. Failing to prepare succession plans. A lot of people will, open up, structures, and they won't know that there's a way to keep this one forever and ever. It doesn't have to die with you. You can keep this one. It can keep going on and on. And we do talk about the importance of successorship and moving this forward so that your children or those appointed in those roles will be able to carry on your ministry. When you move to heaven, or however, whatever way, shape, or form that takes place, if we all become like Enoch and we're carried away, who knows, right? So overcomplicating with offshore tools, as we've already discussed. So there's some common pitfalls there. Who is this for? Health professionals. So why do I say that? I know nurses, okay? And the nurses said, look, I don't want to do this stuff within the system anymore. I just want to help people. Okay, great. So we design a ministry for them. We ask them what's in their heart, have them create their mission statement, and then we build the ministry around the gift set, the set of gifts that they have and the people they want to serve without being in the role of a nurse, okay, or a doctor. Because I've had many doctors actually come up to me and ask for help in doing this over the years. We've been able to do it. Again, we don't use their title, under the state sanctioned doctor title, but it just so happens they have those experience, that experience. There's ways of doing this. So kingdom coaches, healers, herbalists, artists, and musicians, intercessors and prophets, educators, veterans and caregivers, and of course you. We have a much more in-depth list too, of course. So what we help you do, really it's a done for you situation because we're sticklers again about quality. We structure your ministry or mission as a 508c1a ecclesiastical trust with banking compliance. I am with you on the phone, or one of our coaches are with you on the phone as as you set up that appointment. You're not there alone. You're not going through this alone at any point within the opening of your ministry. We are sticklers about banking compliance. So that's one of those things. That's why I want to be with you on the phone, at least for most of the discussion that's happening, so that we can remain up to date on banking compliance measures. With succession and legacy planning, of course, as we've already discussed, with protection from unnecessary filings. So in other words, you're not filing a 990. You're not doing any of that. There's no need to do that, as you could see, according to 26 U.S. Code 6033. Professions suited for kingdom activation through the 508c1a, healing and health professions. There's a ton of them there. Education and mentorship. You've got a good list there. So basically, nutritionists, home birth, midwifery services, end-of-life doulas. Recently, I was contacted about that. Private teachers and homeschooling, co-op founders. Actually, one of my online courses was used for homeschooling credits. So we've also been able to help advance some of these homeschoolers to get into special private schools. That's with another program, but in essence, we did use the 508c1a in a couple of those instances so that the homeschool could be protected under that mechanism. Leadership and life purpose coaches, skill-based mentors, trades, arts, finances, youth empowerment guides, creatives, the media artists, sacred musicians, videographers, YouTubes, podcast hosts, very important. So many podcasters out there preaching the gospel, and many of them are using LLCs. It's like, wait a minute. There's another proper way to function within a ministry, and the ministries can offer a tax-deductible letter for those who contribute to your functions. Prophetic artists, land-based earth-keeping missions, permaculture designers, regenerative farmers, land steward building retreat spaces, ministries focused on creation care and animal welfare, marketplace apostles and builders, kingdom entrepreneurs with an assignment to build, ministry-backed real estate initiatives, farms, safe houses, refuge centers, humanitarian coordinators managing food, shelter, and water access. Ministers of justice, prayer and restoration, deliverance ministers, those called to restorative justice, diplomats for truth, whistleblowers, conscience-based ministries, prophetic innovators, technicians, engineers and tech developers building solutions to serve the body, builders of secure communications. We've helped actual security firms change into or adopt the 508c1a model. Kingdom platform, safe tech environments, researchers in quantum resonance or light technologies aligned with Christ's governance. Of course, we do reserve any and all of our rights to choose with whom we wish to work with. And there's very strong reasons for that. Dangers of going it alone. Okay, so many attempt to build a ministry or launch a kingdom project without understanding the nuances of spiritual trust law, banking compliance, or ecclesiastical structure. The results can be devastating, inadvertently triggering IRS audits or penalties, losing tax exception status by commingling jurisdictions, improper filings that expose spiritual missions to civil liability, burnout from trying to do it yourself, requires sacred covering and legal accuracy. This is not a business formation. It's a governing framework of a heavenly assignment. That is to say, conditions do apply. You must be willing to honor the sacred trust. You must know what is off limits, ATF in industries, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, or explosives, commercial transport, unlawful acts. You must be clean in your record and sincere in your calling. That is very important. Very important. Action prompts. What is your life's message? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? Do you feel called to mentor others through your work? Have you been afraid to step into ministry because you didn't fit the mold? Are you willing to let your profession become your mission? Very important. Most people don't know that they have a calling, very special calling. So next steps, book your discernment call with us, receive guidance on your calling. We'll determine, we'll help you determine based upon your needs what it is you're looking to do. Obviously, we work only with those who sign our non-disclosure, non-circumvent commitment and are in a covenant agreement. And of course, we do have a confidential agreement, so it's just to stipulate that you're agreeing that if you work for a government agency, you're leaving your badge at the door. We still treat you the same, but you're not using that, and you have forfeited any opportunity to infiltrate the inner workings of our embassies. We'll welcome you in, but it's going to be based on those stipulations, as we've done before for many other government operatives in service to this country. So begin building your kingdom legacy. So obviously the disclaimer notice again, we are only assisting people in the capacity of ministerial capacity. We're not offering legal, tax, medical, or financial advice. And we do reserve all of our rights. So we want to make sure, again, that you guys, whoever's signing up with us, that you comply with the laws on the books, and that is, no ATF functions here. So reach out to us if you'd like to utilize the QR code. What that's going to do is it's going to take you to our type form. And the type form is going to ask you pointed questions, very directed questions, so that we will know best how to serve you. If you want our testimonials, there's plenty of them there on the ambassadornectaria.org/reviews. You can go to our YouTube channel. We also have a Rumble channel for those who are interested in more of the historical background into how all of these ministries have emerged and the awareness factor. So now is your time. Now is the time to arise and build. You are the ambassador creating your embassy of light. So we are honored, and it will be a pleasure to work with each and every one of you as long as as long as we can help you. If you have an outstanding IRS liability, please be sure to have that matter resolved before you approach us. Obviously, if you're not in collections yet and you're like in an agreement, offer compromise, we could still work with you because there's a commitment there with the IRS. There's no outstanding controversy. But for those involved in serious controversies, we'll have to put the agreement on hold for you. And you can approach us when you have that matter settled first. But we would love to work with you. Thank you, and God bless you. Any questions, Mark?
No, I think you did a great job. You made up for a lot of extra time that I caused you.
Oh, no problem. No, it's good. I'm so used to just, okay, here's the agenda, run through it, I'm done in 20 minutes. But this is important, and I will make shorter presentation on this. By myself, I'll do it. But I think having the opportunity to go through this in depth, we're answering a lot of people's questions. So this isn't about just presenting a PowerPoint. This is about touching hearts. And this is part of the awakening. So I love it, and I appreciate it, and I am so pleased, and I want to have many more conversations with you because you do tend to go, you call out deep unto deep here, and you and I have a lot of history together. So we'll be able to fill in a lot of gaps for people. So
a lot of these concepts take time to percolate and kind of cook inside of us before things start falling into place. And having this PowerPoint enables people, especially with some of these deeper concepts, to go over it multiple times and over a period of time, and start getting a grip on this stuff. Because if you've never been exposed to it before, I mean, you and I have been going to seminars on this stuff and workshops and doing some of those things ourselves for decades. At some points in there, it's been more intense than others. But when I first started learning about this stuff, it was mind-boggling. It still is. So, so you have put so much time and effort and energy into this research and into this learning, and it's a part of your core being from the heart. And you can tell it by the way that you answer these questions and what you're doing. And so this is more than just I hate to say it in these terms. It's more than a regular ministry. It's your life.
Yeah.
And of course, that's kind of the difference between a lot of Christian ministers who make a lasting impression over decades and even hundreds of years, is that their ministries were their life. And they weren't just doing it to fill space or to have a comfortable life or anything like that. It was, although they may have had a comfortable life, but they may not have had a comfortable life. You look at some of the giants just in the recent few hundred years. I mean, you look at the Wesleys, who gave a big start to the Methodist Church, and man, you look at the life that they had before, and I mean, they were under extreme persecution because their dad had an opposite view to most of the people in the community about some things. And I mean, they had cows that had their udders slit. They had gardens that were ruined. They had a house that was set afire and burned down and almost killed one of the two Wesley boys. I mean, there were more boys than that, but John Wesley and Charles Wesley were the main two that had an impact on the Methodist Church. And these people, what they were doing was their life from the inside. That's what made it so impactful, not just in their generation, but all the way down to this day and age. And so, you can tell this is where you're coming from on this, Nectaria. This is your life. It's not just another thing that you can do to fill time. And I hate to put it this way, but there are a lot of people in various types of ministries who it's not their life. It doesn't mean they're not doing good. It doesn't mean they're not fine people. But it doesn't reach to the point of being the air they breathe and so forth. And that's where you are in this, and that's what you're doing, and that needs to be respected. And just the way that you've answered these questions and have the scriptures at your fingertips and the concept at your fingertips, I consider it an honor to be a part of this effort. And I think anybody that works with you will feel the same way. So I guess that's all I've got to say right now.
Well, thank you. You're not allowed to get me teary-eyed at the end of this presentation. Thank you. It's an honor likewise. No, it's beautiful. And I think this is going to last in the hearts of many, many who come after us. This message is going to be deposited and it's going to last in the hearts. We're going to live through the hearts of those that we leave behind.